my journey to 100,000 euros net worth, starting at 49,500 euros. Hey everyone, Marcus here, and welcome to what I'm calling my Euro 100K journey. Before we jump in, I want you to comment below what's your current net worth goal, whether it's Euro 10K, Euro 50K, Euro 100K, or beyond. Drop it in the comments. I want to know what you're working toward. So look, I'm going to be completely transparent with you. As of today, December 11th, 2025, my net worth is sitting at about 49,500 euros. That's it. I'm not some finance guru with millions in the bank. I'm not trying to sell you a course, and I'm definitely not retired at 30, living off passive income in Bali. I'm a 29-year-old software engineer living in Stockholm, paying way too much rent, and trying to figure this whole wealth building thing out, just like probably many of you watching this. And that's exactly why I'm starting this channel. Here's the thing. I've spent the last few years consuming personal finance content. And honestly, most of it is either American focused, which doesn't help me at all with Swedish taxes and European investment accounts, or it's just completely unrealistic. You know the videos I'm talking about. How I saved 50,000 euros in 6 months when they're living with their parents rent-free and earning 80,000 euros a year. That's just not my reality, and I'm guessing it's not yours either. So I decided to document my own journey. No BS, no shortcuts, just a regular guy with a regular tech job trying to reach 100,000 euros in net worth. And I'm gonna share everything along the way. The wins, the losses, the months where I save 40% of my income, and the months where I totally blow my budget going out with friends. Let me give you the full breakdown of where I'm at right now, because transparency is kind of the whole point of this channel. My 49,500 euros net worth is split across 4 main categories. First, I've got 10,000 euros sitting in my emergency fund. This is in a high yield savings account with a Swedish bank, currently earning around 3% interest, which honestly isn't amazing, but it's better than the 0.5% I was getting a couple of years ago. This money is my safety net. I don't invest it, I don't touch it unless there's a genuine emergency. It took me about 2 years to build this up, and let me tell you, it feels really good to know it's there. Second, my investment portfolio sits at 35,000 euros. This is all in UCITS ETFs, which, for anyone watching who doesn't know, these are European regulated exchange traded funds. I can't just buy US ETFs as a European investor without dealing with complicated tax situations. So UCITS is the way to go. I'm primarily invested through Avanza, which is a Swedish broker, and my allocation is pretty straightforward. 70% in a global UCITS ETF that tracks the MSCI world, 20% in emerging markets, and 10% in European small caps. Nothing fancy, just buy and hold, add money every month, and don't touch it. And look, 2025 has actually been a pretty solid year for the markets. The MSCI world is up around 8% year to date in euro terms as of late November. My portfolio has benefited from both those market gains and my consistent monthly contributions. I'm currently investing about 1,350 euros a month, which comes out to roughly 38% of my after-tax income. Some months I hit 40%, some months I only manage 30%, but the average works out to around that 35–40% range I'm targeting. Third category 1C, my Genstep pension, which is my employer-sponsored retirement account here in Sweden. That's sitting at about 6,000 euros right now. This grows relatively slowly because it's based on employer contributions. But every employer in Sweden is required to contribute to this, so it's essentially free money. I don't have much control over this one, but it's still part of my net worth. And finally, I've got about 2,200 euros in crypto. I know. Some of you are probably rolling your eyes right now. Here's my take on it. I view this as my speculative play. It's less than 5% of my total net worth. And I'm totally okay if it goes to 0. I'm not one of these people who thinks crypto is gonna make me rich overnight. If it does well, great. If not, my actual wealth building strategy doesn't depend on it at all. So that's the full picture. 49,500 euros total. And my goal is to double that to 100,000 euros. Now you might be wondering, why Euro 100K? Why not Euro 50K or Euro 200K or some other number? And here's my honest answer. 100,000 euros feels like a real milestone. It's that first major goal that proves you can actually do this. It's also enough money that compound interest really starts to work in your favor. Once you hit Euro 100K and keep contributing, the math just gets better and better from there. Plus, I'm not gonna lie, there's something psychologically satisfying about hitting 6 figures in net worth. Let me give you a bit of background on how I got here, because I haven't always been good with money. I grew up in a middle-class Swedish family outside of Stockholm. My parents were comfortable, but definitely not wealthy. They taught me to save, to not waste money, but they never really taught me about investing or building wealth. That wasn't part of the conversation. I moved to Stockholm when I was 20 to study computer science at KTH, and that's when I really had to learn to budget. I lived in student housing, and to make ends meet, I worked at ICA. That's a Swedish grocery store chain, for anyone who doesn't know. I started as a cashier, eventually became a shift supervisor, and I worked 20 to 25 hours a week on top of full-time studies. Let me tell you, working retail while studying engineering was brutal. There were weeks where I'd pull all-nighters studying, then go straight to an 8-hour shift on my feet, dealing with customers. But you know what? That experience was incredibly valuable. It taught me the value of every single euro I earned. When you're making 12 euros an hour standing at a cash register, you really think twice before spending 50 euros on a night out. I managed to save my first 5,000 euros during those university years. That became my emergency fund foundation. And honestly, it was one of the best financial decisions I ever made. Fast forward to when I graduated at 24, the job hunt was rough, real talk. I sent out over 50 applications. I got rejected from Spotify, from Klarna, from all these companies I thought were my dream jobs. Eventually, I accepted the first offer I got from a smaller tech company at 38,000 euros a year. At the time, I felt like I'd made it. I was finally going to be a real software engineer, not a grocery store worker anymore. But here's a reality check. After Swedish taxes, which are around 32%, and after paying rent in Stockholm, which is absolutely insane by the way, I wasn't exactly rolling in money. I think I was taking home maybe 2,600 euros a month after tax, and my rent alone was 7,500 euros. That doesn't leave a ton left over. For the first year or two, I lived pretty much like a student still. I was saving money, but I was just keeping it in a savings account, earning basically nothing. I wasn't investing. I was scared of the stock market, to be completely honest. I'd heard stories about people losing everything in crashes, and I just thought, I'll start investing later when I have more money. That was a mistake. That was probably my biggest financial regret. I wish I'd started investing at 22 or 23, even with just 100 euros a month. The compound interest I missed out on by waiting until I was 27, it hurts to think about it. But anyway, I eventually changed jobs. I'm now at a mid-sized tech company making about 55,000 euros a year gross, which comes out to around 3,600 euros monthly after taxes. That's a solid salary, nothing crazy, but comfortable enough that I can save a decent percentage while still enjoying life in Stockholm. And that's when I really got serious about this. I started investing consistently, I automated my savings, I tracked my spending more carefully. Not obsessively, because honestly, I still slip sometimes and go a month without tracking, but enough to stay on top of things. So where am I going with all this? My plan for this channel is simple. I'm gonna document everything. I'll probably do net worth updates every few months. I'll share my investment strategy, my successes, my failures. I'll talk about the European-specific stuff that makes our situation different from Americans. Things like UCITS ETFs, how our tax systems work, why we can't access certain investment accounts, all of that. I'll share what it's like living in Stockholm on a tech salary, because that's my reality right now. I'll talk about the struggle of balancing savings with actually living your life. Because let's be real, what's the point of saving every euro if you're miserable? And look, I'm not gonna pretend I have all the answers. I'm still learning. There are probably things I'm doing wrong, and if you spot them, call me out in the comments. I want this to be a community where we're all learning together and helping each other reach our goals. My current strategy is pretty straightforward. I'm investing 1,260 euros to 1,440 euros every month into my UCITS ETF portfolio, depending on how much I manage to save that month. That's my 35–40% savings rate target. Some months I hit 40%, some months I only hit 30%, but as long as I'm averaging somewhere in that range, I'm happy. I'm not touching my emergency fund unless there's a real emergency. I'm letting my employer contributions to my Gensta pension do their thing. And I'm basically ignoring the crypto unless something dramatic happens. At this rate, if the markets cooperate and I stay consistent, I should be able to hit 100,000 euros in net worth in about 3 to 4 years. Maybe sooner if I get a raise or the markets do really well. Maybe later if we hit a recession. That's just the reality of this game. But the important thing is, I'm in it for the long haul. And here's something I want to emphasize because I think it's really important. You don't need to earn 100,000 euros a year to build wealth. You don't need to be a senior developer at Google or have some massive inheritance. I worked at a grocery store. I'm making a decent but not spectacular salary. The key is just starting early, being consistent, and not doing anything stupid with your money. Even if you're just starting with 50 euros a month, that's fine. That's better than nothing. The earlier you start, the better. Because time in the market beats timing the market every single time. So here's what I want from you. If this resonates with you, if you're also trying to build wealth in Europe, if you're also frustrated by the lack of European-focused personal finance content, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment telling me what your goals are. Join the community. Let's figure this out together. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm not here to pretend I'm some guru. I'm just a guy with a spreadsheet and a goal, documenting the journey, because I think it might help other people who are in the same boat. That's it for me for this first video. I'll see you in the next one, where I'll probably do a deep dive into my investment strategy and explain exactly why I chose the ETFs I'm invested in. Until then, keep grinding, keep saving, and remember, we're all gonna make it. See you next time.